Hello ladies and gentlemen, Hollowtide here, and today I have my first impressions, my thoughts, my opinions on Bungie's new extraction shooter PvEVP game marathon. We live streamed during the reveal, and chat was giving me their honest impressions, and I was giving them mine. And I was writing down a bunch of stuff, just trying to hit things that I thought that people would want to, hear about, talk about, or things that they missed. And I think I did a good job doing that. Obviously, I didn't get to go to Bungie. I obviously didn't get to play the game early. I don't have any footage or anything for you guys. I'm also not going to take anybody else's footage from YouTube or anything like that, so I'm sorry. I will show like the trailers and stuff throughout this video, but I feel like it's less about that. If you watch the reveal and stuff, you know what the gameplay looks like. I will say that the compression quality of the stream definitely makes it harder to see what the game actually looks like. There are videos on YouTube now of people playing the game at the last playtest that they did, and it does look a lot cleaner, a lot crisper, which is something I was telling my chat. So does Bungie have the next big thing on their hands? Is this going to follow, after Halo and Destiny? Is this going to be a global hit? Are people going to love this game and want to play it? I'm going to talk about that throughout the video, but let's start talking about the things that we do know that they did talk about. On April 23rd, that will be the closed alpha test. You can sign up for the alpha at their Discord. You do /alpha, and you get taken to a website, and you fill out all your information and stuff. Or you can get a key from a creator. I do not have any keys. We'll see what happens. I actually go out of state on April 24th for that whole weekend. So if I get in, I will only get to play one day, but I will try to play as much as I can, record as much as I can, have a lot of videos planned and scheduled for while I'm gone. So I don't want to miss out on that. The release date is September 23rd. I did say that I thought I was going to come out this year. I don't know if I'm surprised, actually, that's going to happen, but September 23rd, release date. For the alpha, we're going to have 4 runners at launch, which is Locust, which is your soldier, Spartan-looking character, Blackbird, which is more of a recon character, Glitch, which they describe as a disruptor, and Void, which is stealth, but there are 6 total characters, 6 total runners at launch. There's also going to be 3 maps at launch, but a 4th one will come soon after. The map that you're going to see a lot of in the gameplays and stuff is called Dire Marsh. It supports 18 players. That's the PvP side of things, actual players. And then there's a ton of PvE elements from the UESC, and there's also things called ticks that are fauna on the map that you can fight against and stuff, and there's other hazards throughout the maps that will damage you. I think they described it as otherworldly threats. We didn't really see too much of the old marathon enemies, so hopefully that's something that they did focus on, and it is in the game at some point. There's also going to be a variable weather system, which I think is very cool. And the map, Dire Marsh, does seem fairly small. It seems like you drop in, you're fighting the UESC stuff off-rip, and then you're going to run into people no matter what. I was trying to figure out how long each round was, and it looks like 25 minutes, I think, was the longest time. 20 to 25 minutes. It seems very fast and honestly chaotic. The PvE elements, the UESC, seems like they actually are gonna mess you up if you ignore them and stuff like that. So that's fine. Bungie did say that they've had a ton of players playing the game super early, and they were told to be brutally honest with the gameplay and whatnot. So hopefully that means that, there was good feedback, I hope. Getting into the gameplay, it seems like it is a quick time to kill, but that's all dependent on so many different things. We were told about materials and implants, passives, mods. There seems to be a ton of things that go into this game in terms of build crafting, and they say that they really did focus on build crafting. They wanted it to be extremely deep. That being said, they also want it to be approachable, and I think that that's something that the extraction shooter genre has had a problem with, and I think that there are a few things in this game that will cater, I guess, to the more casual, the more social fan base. So you can expect to die in the game, obviously, but dying is not just, the end all be all. You can take on contracts and missions and things for corporations, factions, and you can progress throughout the game with, not extracting and quote unquote winning. So it doesn't feel like you're just playing for nothing, or if you're, quote unquote bad at the game, you're not going to just quit because maybe you love the aesthetic, maybe you love the world, you love the story, and you want to participate in it, but you might not be as good at the game. So there are things in there that will help, more casual players kind of progress along. There will also be community events, there's seasonal storytelling. There's also seems to be a curated loadout that you can buy. I believe they keep calling it sponsor loadouts. They want to have more onboarding for people so they can learn how to play. And even then, maybe the build crafting is something that will appeal to people. They can stock up on shields and stuff. So maybe they last a little bit longer and they're able to take out other enemies that are more like glass cannons. It also seems to have a bleed out mechanic and you can revive people. Just because they say it's a team-based thing, you can also play solo, which I think will be appealing for content creators. I can see people that are like 1v3 the whole lobby, woohoo. There seems to be a lot of abilities. They focus a lot on the gunplay, but I think that there's a lot of abilities and build crafting like around that. And I'm not sure that the gameplay we saw will be indicative of like how the community actually plays like 2 months into the game. They talk about alternate weapon actions, that they do more than just shoot. Again, there are mods and stuff. There seems to be a lot of movement, a lot of traversal, and it also varies by your runner class. They talk about it's a survival sandbox, but everything has a cost. Your body can overheat if you use a speed boost, but you can find implants to give you more agility and reduce that overheat. You can find just implants that have higher rarity that can fight things like hazardous stuff. They use tox, which I guess is their poison, shields, agility. They also mentioned cores, which give you extra passives, weapon attachments, progression, mods for weapons. There's a lot going on, a lot of loot. There's keys, valuables, a money system. There's a lot going on in this game. And honestly, that part does kind of worry me. It does almost feel like too good to be true, where they're doing so much, it's trying to be so much, there's so many things that I feel like it's almost hard to balance, or it's hard to keep up with that kind of stuff. So we'll see. But like other extraction shooters, you're gonna, before you deploy, you're actually gonna build your runner and your loadout. You can use the loot that you get if you extract in future runs. There's also a vault where you can keep stuff in. They also mentioned a in-game store called the Black Market, and my chat was kind of confused. I think they thought that it was an actual in-store, but I think it's where you can buy things with the loot that you have extracted with. You can sell that stuff, and then you can buy stuff in the Black Market. That's how I understood it. That didn't sound like the actual in-game store, which I'm sure there will be because they tease cosmetics and skins. And I'm sure that that's going to be a huge aspect of this game, is with the art style and whatnot. I think that the cosmetic side of things is going to be really a selling point of how extravagant and different you can make your character or your weapons and stuff like that. I'm sure there will be, they talk about weapon progression, so I'm sure that you can change how your weapons look. One of the things that Luke or Hidden Xperia said was that if you have better aim, you're going to win, and a lot of games aren't really like that, especially in the extraction shooter genre, so that's good to hear. A lot of the UI elements seem very thought out. You get feedback on the reticle for a kill. You get a little skull that shows up, I guess, when you completely kill somebody. There does seem to be a fog of war on the map where it makes things at distance harder to see, but I don't know if that was just the weather system or if that was an actual fog of war mechanic. For those who don't know what fog of war is, it's normally like a fog, but it makes things at distance harder to see the further they're out and stuff, and the closer it gets to you. It's like real fog. So they say they want to make combat approachable but deep. They want it to feel awesome. They want it to be like their Bungie games of old, and they want to bring it into the survival genre. But they also aren't like super hardcore like Tarkov. There's no like limb system where if you get shot in the arm, your arm doesn't work or whatever. But there are effects that can happen. Bullets can slow you down or take you out of sprint. They have status effects. You can be immobilized, overheated. But there are consumables in the world that you can help to fight that. Something else I noticed was that it looks like when you go to loot somebody, it decrypts over time. So that's kind of scary. If you've killed somebody, you don't want to immediately go loot them, kind of like in other games. Like I think of like Apex or something where you need to go loot somebody, get shields, and then you just like click really fast, blah, 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 blah. But in this game, it looks like it decrypts over time. So you don't want to just be in a firefight with people and then you're trying to loot and you're like, oh my gosh, I hope something decrypts. So you'll probably just get shot in the head. I asked people on Twitter what their opinions were now that we've actually seen gameplay, because I think that was going to be a big, like, you can be excited for like the art style and stuff and the world of Marathon, but like we needed to see actual gameplay, and I think that's just the first step. I think the next step is actually playing the game, myself playing the game, you guys playing the game, to see if you actually enjoy it. I'm going to hold out my, I guess, real hardcore opinions until I actually get to play the game. I think that's I'm not going to tell you guys to be excited. I'm not going to tell you guys this or that. A lot of people were saying, oh, this game's going to be dead on arrival. I don't think so. I think people are going to want to play this game no matter what when it comes out. And it remains to be seen if after 3 months they're still going to be playing. I don't know. I really do not know. And this game might not be made for me, but I'm not going to know until I try. Now, Marathon is not free to play. They have confirmed that it will cost money, that there will be like a season pass and everything, so not free to play. I'm sure that there will be like, free weekends, I would think, but we've heard before that it'll be like $40, so we'll see what happens with that. A lot of people have said that a lot of console players will want to play this game just because it's available to them and there's not a competition out there right now for them. Haha, Titanfall 3. But I will say I liked how the gunplay looked and everything. It definitely is unique looking. It definitely does not look like a lot of other games out there. I'm going to keep an open mind, and I would never be, deceitful to you all. I like to think that I have always been honest in my opinions. I like to think that I'm critical when I need to be critical, and I also give praise where I think things deserve praise. But I'm not going to tell you guys how to feel until I play the game too. I'll give my opinion on that as soon as I can, but I can't, I don't want to shape your opinions based on something that I don't have any experience with. I'm in the same boat as you all when it comes to how much I know about the game, how much I've seen, and how much I've played at this point. I'm cautiously optimistic, so we'll see what happens, but that's going to do it for the video, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like down below. It helps me immensely in the YouTube algorithm, and I'm sure that there's going to be a ton of videos out today and a ton of Marathon creators making stuff over the next few days, so I'm sure the algorithm will be flooded. So if you decided to watch my video, thank you. It means so much to me that you guys even care about my opinions like that. It does mean the world to me, and I've tried really hard to gain that trust and everything. So make sure you subscribe. It's free, and you can unsub later if you want to. It does not hurt my feelings, but it does make me feel good when you sub. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.